This is a 5-weight fly rod, and so the way that they do these rods is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to like 14 weights. The higher the number, the heavier and the stouter the rod is. This is a 5-weight. This is good for smaller fish. I mean, panfish, sunfish. You can catch bass on it, crappie, things like that. That's going to be your mid-size. 5-weight's typically pretty good for most lakes in Texas. So that's what I'm starting with here. First thing I want to show you is your line-to-line connection. So the thing with the fly rod and the point of a fly rod is to be able to cast lures that are really light. And so the way you do that is you've got your weighted fly line here. This fly line's a lot heavier than typical fluorocarbon or mono. So basically I can cast this thing with no lure on it if I wanted to. It'll get out there just fine. But what you do is you're going to take your fly line, and so that's a really bright color. You'll be able to see that in the water. And then you're going to take regular fishing line. This is just 12-pound fluorocarbon. And tie, the way I do it is you tie, it's called a surgeon knot. So you double it over like that. You take the loop. And for a regular surgeon knot, you loop it around 3 times. I usually just loop it once through itself, like a regular square knot, if I can get it. And come through like that, and it creates a loop, okay? So I did the same thing on the fly line. That's a surgeon's knot as well. You can see the loop there. So when you're coming through, you want to take this loop on the fluorocarbon, come through that loop like that, bring the loose end of the line, take the end of that, and you're going to run it back through that loop. Right here, that loop comes through, that knot comes around, get around that tag, and it cinches down right there. So you've got a loop-to-loop knot, that's what that is. So when I'm tying this on, this is what I use for majority of my lures. And when you're tying anything on with fluorocarbon or monofilament, it's called a Palomar knot. So you come through the eye of the lure there, eye of the hook, come back through, double it back, and you're going to create that loop again. You can make that loop as big as you want to make it easier on yourself. Okay, come through like that. You're going to come through that loop. Once you have that loop, you're going to come back and you're going to bring the lure through that loop like this. Bring it up. See, it's all kind of connected right here. You're going to let it and then cinch it down on itself. And that's one of the best knots you can tie anywhere. I mean, that'll hold just about any fish you can catch in freshwater in Texas. So, okay, so now that you've got your lure tied on, fly line or fly reel is similar to all the other ones we've talked about earlier in the sense that here's your drag right here on the outside. So the looser you get, the easier it's going to be to pull that out. Tighter you get, harder it'll be to pull it out. What I like to do, and especially if you're just getting started with the fly rod, is you can pull as much line out as you think you need, and you can just play with that. You look ahead of you, kind of see what you've got. And so I think I'm going to need about that much line right there. Should be good. When you're first starting, just get the feel for it. So you can see I'm not swinging it forward until that lure is starting to load up my rod. So as soon as that lure comes forward and I feel it pulling in the opposite direction, that's when I pull it the other direction. So coming back and forth. Just kind of get used to that. Keeping that lure up off the water, nice and easy. Now when you want to start letting line out, you're clamping the line here with your left hand, okay? You're keeping it shut. When you want to let line out, as soon as I push it forward and when that rod tip hits like right here, when it goes right here, I'll let go with my hand. Let go, and then when I pull it back, I'll clamp it. So shoot, pull it back. Let go, clamp it. Let go, clamp it. Let go, clamp it. Shoot it out. And you gotta watch for that line to knot up. But that's how you're gonna shoot your line out like that, okay? Next, you want to do your retrieval. So when I do my retrieval, I take my right hand, I keep it on the stalk of that rod, and I run it through my pointer finger and my middle finger right there. So I kind of fork them right there, run it between, and I just keep a nice loose grip between them, and I strip with my left hand through those 2 fingers. So that's how you're going to retrieve that lure back to you. You come through like this. Now when you feel a bite, feel a fish, you want to set the hook. Typically, when you're just using a bait caster or a spinning rod, you're just going to set the hook just one time. the fly rod you want to do is called a strip set. That's going to get it through. It's going to penetrate those tougher mouths of the bass and things like that. So when you've got your line out, you're going to have it out like that. You're stripping, you're stripping, you're stripping. If you feel a bite, you're going to pull back just like this, but you're also going to pull down with this left arm. So you're going to strip and set the hook like that. So it's kind of a double set strip, just like that. So that's going to be your hook set. If it's a small fish, a fish you can handle, that's just something you've got to play around with, kind of know what kind of fish you can work with your hands. You can hand line them. You can bring them in just like this. You're going to keep that line again pinned between those two fingers, and you're going to keep that rod tip up, and you're going to fight them. You're just going to strip through like this. You're going to keep all that tensions in your right hand. If they pull back, you've got to clamp those two fingers together like this. And you can even pin that line in between the other three fingers here and pin that to the stalk of the rod, the butt of the rod. Okay, so that's it for the fly rod. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and get out there and go catch some fish.